We're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Maricar Velasco, delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region. On today's headlines, Malaysian lawmakers voted to repeal a controversial law Wednesday that punished spreading fake news with up to 6 years behind bars and which critics said was aimed at stifling dissent. The Department of Labor and Employment on Wednesday reiterated its warning to overseas Filipino workers in Hong Kong to be vigilant amid the escalating protests and public disruptions on the island. Ambassador of Spain to the Philippines, His Excellency Jorge Moraga Sanchez, visited the newly opened Iglesia ni Cristo Church of Christ Museum for a courtesy call on INC Executive Minister Brother Eduardo V. Manalo on Wednesday morning, October 9. Malaysian lawmakers voted to repeal a controversial law Wednesday that punished spreading fake news with up to 6 years behind bars and which critics said was aimed at stifling dissent. As well as hefty jail terms, those who disseminated what authorities deemed false news via any medium from print to social networks could be fined up to 500,000 ringgit or $120,000. It was the second attempt by the lower house to overturn the law after MPs voted to repeal it last year, only for the opposition controlled upper chamber to block it. But the upper house is only able to block a bill once, meaning the legislation will now be scrapped. Malaysia is one of several countries in Asia that have turned to such legislation recently, emboldened by U.S. President Donald Trump's fulminations against fake news, but activists warn authoritarian regimes will use the law to target opponents. The legislation was pushed through in Malaysia last year by the former scandal-tainted regime in the run-up to a hotly contested general election, sparking a storm of anger. Political opponents said it was a crude tool aimed at silencing criticism of the then government and its leader Najib Razak, particularly over the corruption mega-scandal surrounding Sovereign Wealth Fund 1MDB. However, Najib and his long-ruling coalition unexpectedly lost the landmark 2018 elections that brought to power a reformist alliance which had pledged to abolish the law. Charles Santiago, an MP from the ruling Pact of Hope coalition, welcomed Wednesday's move, which came after 2 days of debate. He told AFP the legislation had been aimed at helping cover up the former government's abuse and corruption. There is no mass transport crisis in Metro Manila because there is no mass transit paralysis and that glitches in the country's train systems are solvable, Malacanang said on Wednesday. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo stood by his remark that there is no mass transport crisis after critics said he was insensitive to the daily plight of commuters. He denied being unaware of the gravity of the problem, saying that he simply meant that despite glitches in the country's train systems and the September 30 nationwide transport strike, commuters were still able to reach their respective destinations. In a statement, Panelo said just because he disagrees with the leftist organization's theory on the existence of a mass transport crisis does not mean that he is unaware of the vexing daily commute as well as the burden caused by the worsening traffic conditions in Manila. He added he stands by his statement that there is no mass transport crisis. The crisis is in the sufferance of commuters and motorists, while the other crisis is in the inefficient operation and maintenance of the LRTs. The crisis is in its poor management. He also emphasized that perennial problems in traffic and the country's train stations are the products of many years of neglect by previous administrations. The Department of Labor and Employment on Wednesday reiterated its warning to overseas Filipino workers in Hong Kong to be vigilant amid the escalating protests and public disruptions on the island. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III issued the reminder after receiving reports on the series of protest actions that resulted in the disruption of public transport and business activities in various parts of the Chinese Autonomous Region. He added that he issued the appeal to Filipino workers for their safety and security and assured that the Philippine Overseas Labor Office continues to monitor developments in the area. He noted that based on latest advisory issued by the Philippine Consulate General in Hong Kong, among reported areas where protests are to be held in Chim Shai Tsui Police Station October 10, Newtown Plaza Shatin October 12, Victoria Park and Edinburgh Place October 13, Edinburgh Place and Chatter Garden October 14, and resumption of Legislative Council October 16. Mass actions are also scheduled in River Park Tai Wai to Shatin October 20, Yuan Long MTR Station October 21, Tamar Park Admiralty October 26, and Prince Edward MTR Station October 31. Bello also urged Filipinos working in Hong Kong to refrain from wearing black or white-colored opera garments while on streets to avoid being mistaken for protesters. The protest stemmed from the plan to allow extraditions of criminal suspects to the mainland, which have been scrapped. Tensions in the region escalated as Hong Kong's government implemented a ban on wearing face masks, which took effect on Saturday, aimed at preventing violence in anti-government rallies. 5 more dead elephants have been found at the bottom of a Thai waterfall known as Hell's Abyss, the Environment Minister said Wednesday, as rangers reinforced barriers to try to stop the creatures wandering into the dangerous area. Drones were used to make the latest grim discovery at the waterfall in Khao Yao National Park, bringing the number of elephants who fell to their deaths in the disaster to 11 after 6 bodies were found over the weekend. Elephants are known to develop strong social bonds, and officials believe a younger one slipped off the cliff, prompting a doomed attempt by the others to reach it. Safety measures are being beefed up at the park around 120 kilometers northeast of Bangkok, where officials are helping create more water and food sources nearby to discourage other elephants from returning to the deadly spot. Elephants are Thailand's national animal, but numbers in the wild have dwindled to only a few thousand due to deforestation and habitat loss. Natural Resources and Environment Minister Varawut Silpa Archa said elephants follow their leaders, and when sometimes the young ones fall, it is only natural that the elder ones will try and reach down and help. Thailand was hit by drought this year, and the elephants may have been looking for new sources of drinking water, but it is also possible they were trying to avoid contact with humans. Only 2 survived who did not fall but found themselves trapped on a thin, slippery sliver of rock above the churning waters. Authorities are also faced with the challenging process of recovering the heavy bodies. For now, the Department of National Parks has installed a net to catch the carcasses when the current pushes them down the stream.
คือตอนนี้พยายามให้ไวที่สุดนะครับแต่ว่าเราก็ต้องคำนึงถึงความปลอดภัยของเจ้าหน้าที่ที่จะเข้าไปดำเนินการด้วยแล้วตอนนี้ผมมองไปที่เรื่องของแผนในระยะยาวในอนาคตมากกว่าเพราะว่าทางท่านรองนายกรัฐมนตรีนะครับพลเอกประวิตรวงษ์สุวรรณแล้วก็ทางท่านรัฐมนตรีวราวุฒิศิลปอาชาเนี่ยท่านก็กำชับมาในเรื่องของพเนียดตรงนั้นที่มีอยู่ปัจจุบันเนี่ยมันเพียงพอไหม
With 35 miles of coastline, Virginia Beach, Virginia is Guinness World Record holder for the longest stretch of pleasure beach and home to the historic First Landing State Park, where English settlers landed first in America on April 1607 in the area famously known as Cape Henry. I am Sarah Nackman, broadcasting from my beautiful hometown of Virginia Beach, Virginia, USA, and I am 1 with 25.
Soccer, the world's favorite sport. And it's no wonder. Spectacular goals. And plenty of emotion. The best of game day. Kickoff.
With gorgeous white sandy beaches that stay cool to touch even on the hottest summer days, blue-green ocean waves, and the warm ocean breeze, there's no wonder why Dr. Beach is named Siesta Key, Florida, the #1 beach in the United States. Don't forget to watch episodes of Digital Next every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. I'm Melissa Protest, coming to you from Siesta Key, Florida, and I am 1 with 25.
Welcome back. Ministers responsible for the environment, for land, forest fires, and haze from ASEAN member states held their 15th ASEAN ministerial meeting on the environment. The 15th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to ASEAN Agreement on Transboundary Haze Pollution on the 8th to the 9th of October 2019 in Siem Reap, Cambodia. The ministers acknowledged the achievements and progress of regional environmental protection and cooperation on a number of environmental issues, in particular prioritized actions and initiatives taken on environmental sustainability to further promote environmental cooperation in the region. The ministers recognized that key cross-cutting and emerging environmental issues such as climate change and marine debris pollution remain a challenge which requires regional collective action. The ministers also noted the continuing dialogue between ASEAN and partners in the key cross-cutting and emerging environmental issues such as climate change, environmentally sustainable cities, and circular economy in the ASEAN-EU High-Level Dialogue on Environment and Climate Change held on the 8th of July 2019 in Bangkok, Thailand. The ministers noted that the ASEAN Joint Statement to the United Nations Climate Action Summit 2019 was convened at the UN Climate Action Summit 2019 on the 23rd of September 2019 in New York, USA. They look forward to a successful outcome of the 25th session of the Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which will take place on the 2nd to the 13th of December 2019 in Santiago, Chile, including the convening of an ASEAN event under the Indonesia and Thailand pavilions at the sideline of the COP25. In this regard, the ministers endorsed the ASEAN Joint Statement on Climate Change to COP25 to UNFCCC for the consideration by the leaders. The ministers also noted continued efforts to promote cross-sectoral coordination and partnership through the second ASEAN Climate Change Partnership Conference held on the 27th of August 2019 in Singapore. South Korea and the Philippines are expected to sign next month an expanded free trade agreement to further boost the two countries' flourishing commercial trading, according to South Korean Ambassador Han Dong-man. Han made the disclosure to diplomats attending the Korea National Foundation Day celebration and Armed Forces Day at the Makati Shangri-La Tuesday night. He said in 2018, trade volume between South Korea and the Philippines reached $15.6 billion US, an increase of 9.3% compared to the previous year. Han said to expand the trade relations, negotiators from Korea and the Philippines are working hard to reach a deal on a free trade agreement between the two countries. He added they are now approaching the conclusion of the bilateral trade agreement, which is poised to be signed by the end of November. Han cited the outstanding leadership of Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez for the expanding trade relations between South Korea and the Philippines. He said he is confident that this bilateral deal will further enhance the business ties and benefit both economies. With regards to people-to-people exchange, South Korea is the Philippines' largest source of foreign tourist visitors, according to Han. In 2018, some 1.6 million Koreans visited the Philippines, and Han said he made a promise to President Rodrigo Duterte to bring up the number to 2 million per year during his term. The Mindanao Development Authority, or MINDA, believes that the Philippines can export rice and Mindanao can serve as a primary gateway for the staple to go global, particularly if local farmers are given the means to improve their productivity. In a statement issued by the Philippine Institute for Development Studies, MINDA Chairman Emmanuel F. Piñol said farmers in Mindanao need to adopt new farming technologies, particularly for cultivating rice to increase productivity. Piñol said Mindanao is the only area in the country that is not often hit by typhoons compared to northern Luzon, and the soil there is more fertile than that of Luzon. However, Piñol said investments in agriculture remain low in the Philippines. The government has failed to provide farmers with sufficient water, good seeds, fertilizers, machinery, and capital. These, he said, are the same ingredients that will make the country self-sufficient in rice. He said self-sufficiency can be achieved by providing good quality seeds, hybrid or inbred, sufficient water for irrigation, soil, modern machinery, and access to capital for financing. These are also the necessary ingredients to making Philippine agriculture ready for the threat of the new globalization. Piñol also said some government interventions are off target while it provides financial subsidies and fertilizers to local farmers. The absence of a market where they can sell their produce is still a major issue. Given these challenges, Piñol urged the national government to intensify its support and provide the necessary interventions to local farmers. In particular, he stressed the need to help farmers become processors and marketers of their own products.
Soccer.
Disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business every Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. Open for Business, from vision to action. Welcome back. Ambassador of Spain to the Philippines, His Excellency Jorge Moraga Sanchez, visited the newly opened Iglesia ni Cristo Church of Christ Museum for a courtesy call on INC Executive Minister Brother Eduardo V. Manalo on Wednesday morning, October 9. Ambassador Jorge Moraga Sanchez is the first ambassador from Spain and the first diplomat from Western Europe to visit the INC Executive Minister. He arrived together with Spain's Consul General in the Philippines, Fernando Heredia Noguer. Brother Joel San Pedro, head of the INC's Overseas Mission Office, said, quote, "Since his arrival in the Philippines late last year, Ambassador Moragas has taken notice of the Iglesia ni Cristo. He recognizes the INC as a strong institution which does a lot of good things all around the Philippines as well as in the communities all around the world where the church is found." The ambassador, San Pedro, added, has not only heard of the INC's activities but also knows members of the church, confirming the reputation of its members as honest, responsible, and hardworking. During the meeting, Ambassador Moragas also expressed curiosity and interest about the church's beliefs, practices, and history as well. San Pedro said that the Spanish ambassador's meeting with Brother Eduardo went very well. Afterwards, the ambassador was pleasantly surprised by the great number of brethren who waved small flags of Spain and the INC and cheerfully greeted him as he departed. He also expressed admiration for the beauty of the INC Museum. This is the first time that a foreign diplomat making a courtesy call to the INC Executive Minister was received at the INC Museum. Ambassador Moragas has a strong affinity with the Philippines as his mother was born in Baguio City. His grandfather was among those who came to the Philippines along with the Tobacco Company of the Philippines. The ambassador first visited the country when he was just 13 years old. Moragas' hometown is in Barcelona, where the church has a 1,260-seater house of worship, one of the largest INC houses of worship outside the Philippines. The INC Executive Minister himself officiated the worship service that dedicated to God the house of worship in Barcelona in 2012. In 2017, Brother Eduardo also led a worldwide evangelical mission from Barcelona, Spain, where he officiated a worship service that was broadcast all over the world through WebEx technology. The first pastoral visitation of the Executive Minister to Spain was when he led a worship service in Madrid in 2010. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Maricar Velasco and I am one with 25.